In chapter 170 of One Punch Man, we begin with the initial fight between Psychos and Tornado. Using their telekinetic powers, the two force pull each other together until they clash head on, causing a massive explosion. We then cut to the missing boy, Torio, and King in the tunnels of the monster base. After King bluffs a hidden monster into running away, he and the boy walk off together safely. As the monster's running away, it's attacked and absorbed by Orochi's surviving heart element in order to regenerate his body. After a brief fight, we see Psychos being twisted in the air by tornadoes and being interrogated for information about the missing boy. Tornado voices this on the hero comms, to which Sweet Mask tells her that the mercenary team was brainwashed by a monster and had to be eliminated. He then asks for assistance with the cadre he's fighting, but as Tornado is mocking his incompetence, her focus slips and Psychos escapes. As Psychos escapes, Orochi launches a surprise attack, injuring Tornado, but leaving her relatively unscathed. And the chapter ends with Psychos rushing towards Orochi in order to use him to boost her powers even further. So, big chapter. I felt like a lot of big implications. I mean, my first question. So Orochi's alive. I think we all may have had a feeling about that. It seemed like just too quick for the built-up main villain to just be knocked out. I mean, it is One Punch Man, but that brings me to my question. Orochi is only the second character we've seen to truly survive one of Saitama's serious punches, as I believe. Knowing that, I'll toss this over to Xander. I mean, knowing that, and knowing that Orochi, it's been specified that he gets stronger every time he regenerates. What do you think we're gonna see between in the next fight with Orochi and Saitama?
So, I mean, as you said, the title of the manga is One Punch Man, so I think it will end the same way. But I think it's going to cause more trouble for Tornado. I think that's where the issues, she's going to start seeing issues with Orochi and having to deal with the psychosis girl. I forgot, what was her name again?
I think Psychos.
Psychos, yeah.
Psychos, that's what it is? Okay. I didn't know if that's what their ability was. So I feel like she's going to have some issues or have some trouble, and then Saitama and then Flashy Flash are going to come in, and then Flashy Flash is going to be like, get out of my way, I'm going to handle this. They're all going to get clapped down, and then Saitama is going to come in. I have a feeling that Saitama is going to come in, save the day, and then somehow King is going to get the credit for it, and then King will get jumped up to S2 or Class S rank 2. I have a feeling that that's gonna happen. Now, that was one thing. I watched a video about King because I just want to briefly touch on his little panels, because that was probably my favorite part of the entire thing was the King.
Oh, dude, it's great comedic relief.
Yeah. Well, so I watched this video about this guy he explained it in depth about how King's power is luck, and how the King's engine basically calls people to him to help out. That he never has to do anything. That's what the King engine, it's just his heartbeat going, but everybody can so loudly hear it, and it triggers something in good people to come to his rescue. And so that the King's engine and luck are his abilities, and that's why because what is it? He said that at every single battle, somebody else has come in to save the day, and so there's no way that it's a coincidence every single time.
Well, I feel like if you could make the case that his power is not necessarily luck, but I would say his power is just fear, because that's what the King engine is. They talk about how it's literally everybody thinks it's him building his power, his rage up to go Super Saiyan, but it's really him just getting progressively more and more terrified. And I think that he just becomes so terrified. You were saying, it is so attracting to people that are trying to save the day, that is like, whoa, I gotta get over. He
Yeah.
looks like he's in
Yeah, I mean,
so
I think Connor is right. Like that's the gag is that people get all intimidated, but it's like no, he's just really super scared and he just gets lucky. Like, I mean, I don't think there's any deeper power behind it. Like, that's just like that's the joke, and it's super funny. And I mean, One Punch Man, that's why we love it. It's like so many random things that happen. It's like they don't need an explanation. They just that's the way it is. Like, there's a cadre named Black Sperm, and there's
and
an evil natural water.
Pig
That
Führer.
just, like what's going on? It's
it's
the gag.
I love the panel with I'm just dropping this. I love the panel with Saitama and Flash that we got very briefly, where Saitama's like, "Hey, why don't you tell me about it?" And and the monster starts going like a tour guide. Like, well, if you look on your left.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say I'm not necessarily so sure that there's going to be a Saitama and Orochi rematch. So the reason I say that is we just saw right before this fight Garou breaking his limiter. So he also fought Orochi once and got absolutely dismantled. And I think it would be a good power scaling now to see him possibly be the one that fights Orochi the second time and, beats him even with the Psykos, meshing with him and becoming more powerful. But I'm not so certain that Saitama will be the one that, because I think overall at the end of this arc, we are going to have a Boros-esque fight between Saitama and Garou. I think that is what they're setting up. So I could see Orochi not being a factor with Saitama in this one again, because I also think he only beat him with a regular punch, if I'm not mistaken. It was just one regular punch, a normal punch, he says. So I don't think even with this, obviously we always know it's One Punch Man. We go back to that all the time. But I don't think there is a need for another, even if Orochi gets this power up, another Saitama fight.
So
I think he's going to...
Here's how I disagree. I mean, you could be right. I'm not super confident one way or the other, but what I think this is building towards, which is going to be incredibly hyped to see, is a team up between Saitama and Tornado, or at least a situation where they're fighting in the same location. Like, you got pretty much the two most powerful heroes as we know it fighting together, and she'll finally get to see what he can do. He'll finally get to see what she can do. And I think they're trying to build up, that you've got the other telekinetic person, and then you've got the other super strong, physically strong person, and then you're going to have somewhat of a 2v2 matchup. It might not be that straightforward, but I think the really cool thing that we're going to get to see is Tornado and Saitama together. And really, this arc does have to finish with Saitama winning outright. I mean, like you said before, just in a different way. It's going to come down to him pulling out a serious punch or something along those lines to finish it off in the end.
Right.
But I think Garou is kind of like more of a long-term character. I don't think he's going to be defeated in this arc. I think he's being set up for the future. I think Orochi and Psykos are the main villains for Saitama to beat.
Well, that's not to say that if he is defeated, I mean, I'm saying I still think he'll be a long-term villain. I don't think that we'll see the last of him if he's defeated, but I do think again, we have to see what truly happened to Garou after, like, how powerful is he right now? Because that doesn't make any sense if he's still having a hard fight against Darkshine. Like, if that's still a good fight, there's no way he's going to be able to keep up with them. But if, say, Psykos and Orochi are so powerful that they take out Tornado or something, and then we really see the scales of, like, yeah, Tornado's the second strongest in that universe, but now we have someone who is above her, and, again, that whole, like, oh, is he as powerful as Saitama? Obviously, the answer is no there, but, that whole thing that the author likes to do to us.
Well, so go ahead, Xander.
Well, the only thing I was going to say is I agree with DJ that I think the Garou is going to be I don't think that he's going to, they will match up in this arc. So I could see that, yes, Tornado and Saitama fighting together, and then Tornado gives Saitama the recognition that he deserves, and he becomes an S-class. And that's when Garou starts to hunt him down, because he now sees that he's an S-class hero because he's just going after all the S-class heroes. So I think for them to match up, Saitama has to become an S-class hero. Otherwise, he'll just kind of push them off because Gaara like run into other smaller heroes and he was just like, I don't have time to waste on you. Like, you're not high enough. So
Yeah.
But he has run into Saitama before, so like he recognizes Saitama's overpowered for his rank, because like there was the encounter where I can't remember how he ran into him. I think he saw King and Garu was going to take out King, and he just like popped him.
But Garu thought that was King who knocked him down.
Oh,
Garu's every time he's fought him, he's seen it as a fluke. He doesn't really know what's going on yet.
Okay.
I just don't see why he would be mirroring this buildup of like breaking Gaara's limiter and having him in the same area and doing all this. Plus, we're also like, it's not like Gaara's just hunting heroes. He's like, his goal is to become the most powerful and fight everyone. So we've only seen him really fight one bad guy, and it's been Orochi of all things. So I do think we're going to see him like progress through. And yeah, he's fighting Darkshine right now, but he may fight a cadre on, his next fight or something. Like, I see this arc peaking at we have a Garu fight, like a very, very intense Garu fight. And because have we seen Garu get defeated besides Orochi now? And now like
Dog
he's
Man.
come back and he's
Watchdog Man.
Watchdog Man. Okay. So yeah, that's perfect then actually. Almost like Orochi, every time he's got defeated, we have seen him come back 10 times more powerful. Like Watchdog Man, he was able to use his fighting style without even really practicing. And now Orochi, we've seen him with these monster genes or, whatever's going on with him, his limiter break and all that stuff. So like he has been taking leaps and bounds to get to this point. Like he's way more powerful than when Saitama just pushed him off with King right now.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll move on to my next question. Now, the way you guys, DJ, the way you were talking about, you see it being set up as this Saitama, this 2v2 situation. What I understood at the end of the chapter, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but it looked like Psykos was essentially going down to say, hey, let me absorb your energy so I can become super powerful. I didn't see it as like hey, give me some power while you regenerate. I saw it as, hey, I'm going to absorb your power to become super strong. So my question is, and I'll give this to you, DJ, do you think that there's, a chance that Psykos is going to absorb Orochi's energy and become overpowered? Do you think Orochi is going to absorb her in some twist backstab move to become super powerful? Or do you still think that it'll be the two of them?
I think that's a good point. I kind of forgot about that. So I think Psykos hasn't been around long enough to just have her be, absorb Orochi like that and become one being. I think definitely that's the direction it seems to be going in, and that might happen later. Like we might see maybe we see a 2v2 situation first, and then when she realizes that's not working, then she completely absorbs Orochi. Because I think there still needs to be levels of escalation to this fight. Because I don't think they would have. One, Psykos is a relatively new character. I think we need to see a little more of her and her normal power first. Because she's the villain that's been orchestrating all of that. And two, they just revealed that Orochi pretty much came back from the dead. So I don't think. I mean, that's a big implication. There's no villain has been able to do that after taking one of Saitama's punches. So I think we're also going to get to see a little more development with him and seeing that he's actually more powerful because he has these regenerative abilities. So I don't know if it's going to be a straightforward 2v2, but I think that the two of them will exist as somewhat separate entities, at least for a few chapters. And then maybe, it seems like eventually they're going in the direction that Psykos is just going to power up and become like a telekinetic Orochi, which is terrifying.
Yeah, that's just scary.
The only reason I disagree with the length of that, DJ, is because we just saw her get absolutely, mid-diffed or more by Tornado. So with her power, we know what she can do. She's basically an evil tornado that's less powerful, correct? I'm sure there's a little twist or something that she might have certain things. But
She's tornado light.
Think about this, right? Like it goes back to when Saitama was fighting Orochi. Like he says like, oh, there's always, you're the most powerful this or the craziest that. Like I could see us getting that like kind of history of her by her absorbing Orochi, pretty quickly, like now, right? And then she becomes this super powerful being, and then she starts going on that like typical One Punch Man villain monologue of like, this is why I've done all this, and this is
my origin story.
Right. Yeah, exactly, right? And then I could honestly see her possibly being more powerful than Tornado if there's like physical strength involved or however. But then again, like, or maybe we get like Tornado tiered up more and like we really see how powerful she is. Like she could just shrug it off and be like, this is nothing to me, and twist this like Orochi thing up. But like we're gonna see, I think that is a necessary step to happen very soon, is for her, because we don't need Orochi anymore. We've gotten enough Orochi, and he's already been, killed by Saitama. Like I understand he's back and we just got him back, but I think that's why they also specified that it was Orochi's heart element that was back, like kind of his power, not him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good point, and that does seem likely. But I guess I'm not predicting as much. I'm just hoping that there's more to Psykos as a villain without Orochi being in the mix.
I think if there is, then and again, the reason I'm hesitant to push her off to the side, I understand she's created this whole thing and like the whole like monster association and all that, but I think the problem is, and especially I'm biased because it is my theory, I guess, that Gaara is the main villain of this, arc or whatever, the pinnacle of that. Like she doesn't really mean a lot if this whole thing has been about getting Gaara as powerful as he could be, right? Like we don't need a lot from her. And I understand, like, basically if she turns into a monster, she's a disposable character then, because they kill off monster characters like nothing. It's the human characters that they like keep around a lot, Well,
if she was a disposable character, they would have just kept her as Giro. There'd be no point in having a big reveal that it was actually a human behind it. Like,
well, I mean,
she created this whole situation of this whole entire arc. This is a long arc, and this is the longest One Punch Man arc we've ever had. And I'm just hoping that it's a very recent reveal that we got that, oh, it's a human behind all this, like pulling the strings behind all these monsters. To see that, and then to immediately just see her get slapped, it's like, it's a little bit disappointing. I want to see something that says, that kind of pays off for her being the big villain pulling the strings behind everything. So I kind of want to see like some of her own abilities. See if she can like pull anything out by herself.
I've got my little tin hat theory with her, and so seeing her get clapped so easily, I have because obviously you got to think, well, what happens after this, right? Like Gaara can't be the only bad guy left, because if all the heroes just team up, if they've destroyed all the monsters, and then it's just Gaara left, like where does this manga keep going? So what I could possibly
some
think,
of the heroes are losing right now. Like it's
but I mean, but after this arc, I'm saying after this arc, what could possibly be next, right? Because you got to think in the end, like the good guys are probably gonna win. So the only thing I could think of would be that Psykos is like a member of some Illuminati, like she's like the weakest one, like she's like a B class, like what was it from Yu Yu Hakusho? What was his name? Todoroki? No, not Todoroki.
Toguro.
Toguro. Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, this is Toguro. Like he's stupid, strong, but in comparison to other, he's pretty weak. So I could see that her being some part of some board or group or whatever that's orchestrating this, but she was just like the henchman of that group to kind of get this thing going, and then they find out, oh, there's this another organization that's even bigger that's gonna try and like take things down.
I like that. The Metal Knight, right? Because it's already hinted that this whole entire situation we're seeing right now is just a distraction and part of Metal Knight's plan to infiltrate the Hero Association and take it down.
Wow.
So that's some Illuminati stuff right there.
And if you go back, I mean, just kind of thinking about it, if you go back to where we first see her at, she's in, I mean, I know this is like pretty far out there, but like there's money involved in whatever organization this is. It does seem like it is some sort of like behind the curtain organization. Like she's drinking her wine. She's like really relaxing.
She's in a classy
lair. Like, you know how it
classy
is.
lair.
For the henchmen,
Classy.
like,
Oh, yeah.
and that's like B-list stuff for the henchmen. The next person's probably got a bigger lair, like, you know. But I like that. That would be an awesome way to go. And it does kind of fit in, because let's be honest, this author, for as great as he is with the fights and like everything that we've seen, I'm not knocking the series at all. He's not one for these big, intricate, like, plans of all that. But something like that, very straightforward of like, oh, she was just a little piece of a bigger villain organization, you know, big reveal, more fights to come later. Like that could be something. And that kind of does tie in even to if they've like this happens, right? And she, you know, Psykos in the eyes of the organization kind of messed up. Maybe they go after Gara then at the end of this, because like through her mistakes of failing, she did create Gara. And now like, okay, we need him. We need to get him on our side. And then like, obviously he's not going to say no. But yeah, like
I could definitely see like Xander. I'll chime in as well. I like your theory. I think fantastic. But I could also see this being a tie-in where, because you made a good point about they beat the Monster Association. I mean, I don't think that means that they're monster free. I think there's probably still those scattered cases that happened before, but I could see that being almost an introduction to like the alien aspect, because we know Boros was an alien. We know they're out there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's an entire strata of enemy groups, you know, that he could bring in to introduce as like an association.
Yeah, and you could have like monsters from another dimension, time traveling monsters. Like this guy has free reign to come with anything he wants to.
Right.
Yeah.
And he is really good at that, kind of just like ending one thing. Like think about how Boros, you know, when we got to the end of Boros, it was just like, okay, he killed the strongest villain so far, and then all of a sudden you pick back up season 2 and, you know, whatever in the manga. But like, you know, moving on from there, like he's pretty good at just wrapping stuff up and then going on to a new group of villains pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, to take it a little bit further, kind of what you're saying with Connor is, you know, they could have this alien group that's trying to infiltrate monsters into like a bunch of different planets. So there is like a bigger organization, and Psychos is the one involved with doing Earth, which I think is the planet that they're on. And so you could then maybe see some other planet that has been completely taken over by monsters, and then they send that person over to kind of finish the job. And then, you know, you got to deal with that. That's a whole other arc. And then, you know, they could just keep sending bigger and bigger people from this organization.
That's another good point you just made me think about when you said you think they're on Earth. I'm pretty sure they're in Japan, but I don't think we've seen literally any outside world events besides what's going on in Japan. So like, I don't even know that the monster problem, I mean, they might just have a stereotypical Godzilla situation.
So we might need to fact check this, but I'm pretty sure their world, I'm pretty sure it is somewhat like an Earth, but it's not like USA, Japan. I'm pretty sure each of their cities, every city that we've seen, they touch on it in the very, very beginning with like the dragon level threats and everything like that. And I think that like very first villain, do you guys remember the big tall guy with the scientist brother? He steps on one full city and destroys it or whatever. I think that's what this world is. It's just a bunch of like clusters of people in these cities. And that's why they have like the threat classes and the heroes that defend each section and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they've referred to it, the planet, as Earth before. I don't know if they've ever referred to countries, but like Devin said, all the cities are fictional.
Yeah.
So, but it is Earth. It's a different version of Earth.
Because where they're at now, right, is like the worst city. Like where Saitama lives is like
City Z, right? Isn't that where they're at?
Yeah, because that's where Boros attacked, right? Or no, sorry, that's a different city. This is where something else big happened in City Z.
Well, this is where the like Monster Association is. They're
right,
like,
no, but it's there because it was abandoned because of something that happened in the previous arc.
Oh, okay,
I
gotcha.
forget whether that was Horus's attack or something else?
Well, I wonder if it's City Z. I wonder if they're just listed. I wonder if the cities are literally just like A, B, C. Because I feel like I remember them.
All the cities that we've seen.
Yeah.
Wikipedia just it like when it starts off describing the plot, it says that it's set in an Earth-like supercontinent world.
Yeah,
and it's just so I think you were right on the money. It's a massive continent, clusters of cities.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
All right.
Any last questions, Connor?
I think that's it. No, I think that's good.
Let us know what you guys think. Like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Off The Stoop.